Wes, and today we're having a look at the new Godox Litemons LE300Bi, not to be confused with the original LA300Bi. This is an updated design of their value-priced line of lights, which started some time ago with the original LA series. This is before the one that came before this. My, how things have changed. This one, lots of plastic, Bowens mount on the front, very thin metal. They have made lots of changes to the design and lots of improvements in my books. Yes, this is big, but it's a 300 watt light over 300. We're gonna go in depth. I'm gonna take this apart, look and see what makes it tick, how well it works, inspect everything about this, starting with the feature set. So first of all, this is a bi-colored LED light, and this is what is referred to as an all-in-one design. It just takes AC power straight in, which is good and bad, depending on how you do things. There is no giant power supply or anything, it's all inside. You just plug this D connector in. But that means that you're not going to be able to power this by battery. We have Bluetooth connectivity, which is standard now. We also have quick NFC connectivity. I don't find that super useful. As long as the Bluetooth connectivity is well implemented, you shouldn't need that, but some people might like that. We have DMX in and out, which is pretty cool, especially in a value-priced light. There is an umbrella holder on the side. You can take that off if you want. This is a Bowens mount light. And this is the reflector that comes with it, very pretty. You can also do CRMX, which is the wireless standard similar to DMX, but you do need an additional adapter to plug into the back of that, which costs some money. We do have a full color display. It's not the brightest display. It's a little hard to see at times. That's more of our usability thing though. We have one dial, 3 buttons, and a power switch on the back here, and there are effects included. So let's run through those effects to see how well they work. So as you can see, not the most effects. Some of the effects don't have white balance adjustability, some of them do. The fire and the flame, very smooth. I like that. However, I found them a little bit unconvincing. The fast effects like the lightning and the welding were incredibly fast, which is nice. So this Light has both smooth and fast effects. I find lights either have one or the other, not both. But overall, not the most effects, not the most customizable. That would be what we'd get from the Aperture lineup. But the ones that it have work fairly well. I'm going to give this an 8.75 out of 10 for feature set. Build quality. As I had mentioned before, this is a mostly metal design. Let's tear it down and see what's inside. So as you can see, the Bowens mount on the front here is perfectly flush with the body. This is a metal front end, a cast metal Bowens mount, nice and thick, love to see it. No plastic here. A similar light, the GVM ST300B AIO. This is also an all-in-one light, but we have a plastic mount on the front, and it even melted a little bit while I was using it. Slightly extreme circumstance, but I don't like to see plastic mounts. Just bound to get into some trouble. Our diffuser on the front, also glass, fantastic. An important thing now that I'm including in my ratings is repairability. This has that classic front off, back off design, very easy to disassemble. If the fan or something fails in here, it's pretty easy to get it apart. However, one thing concerning the build quality, this hard white finish on it, it does scratch. It doesn't come with a case, so it's just bouncing around in my bag. I mean, everything I have is bouncing around in my bag. And so the white is scuffing off with some hard use. And yes, I have been using this hard. The back screen is a hard plastic, but as you can see here, it is scratchable. We have a little bit of scuffing going on there. Power switch, very generic and normal. The adjustment knob, it clicks and turns. It looks very fancy. The buttons, kind of a little bit squishy and generic. Love this handle on the back. Love to have a handle. It's just plastic, but it is very firm. So overall, for build quality, the only thing we're missing is water resistance, which some lights do have. So this gets a 9 out of 10. Usability. As previously mentioned before, the screen on the back, viewing angles are not fantastic. However, with that full color screen, we do get a fantastic user interface in that you have a very deep menu system that lets you adjust your fan, medium, high, auto here. You can adjust your DMX to just an enormous amount of granularity. Display brightness, I don't know why you would turn it down, I guess if you're in a super dark area. But yeah, you can really get in there. It's fantastic that you can do those settings without like real messing around. But I do like to see two knobs. I hate having to toggle from one thing to the other to adjust settings. That's a pet peeve of mine. Again, there's a handle, fantastic. As far as sound goes, I'm not a huge fan of the sound that it makes. It is very quiet. We're talking only 36 decibels at about 3 feet. It has a slightly rattly tone to it, but again, it's not too loud, and it's not super unpredictable. Some lights I find they'll ramp up, ramp down in a big way, whereas this one, it really maintains a much more stable level of fan. One issue that I have, might seem minor to you, but the Bowens retention pin in here is just a little too small. It's too narrow. So when you have a modifier that has a solid Bowens tab, that's totally fine. But when you have one with a hollow tab, as many of them unfortunately do, when you put your Bowens device on it, the tab sinks in halfway inside the tab. And so you've got to push it down further and manually get it all the way in there. Otherwise, your modifier is going to fall off. And I've had this happen with a few lights in the past, depending on your modifier. Even big modifiers sometimes, because they're made of metal, it'll be hollow on the inside and it'll prematurely snap in there. What may or may not be useful to you is this recessed COB, completely flat. Some people prefer it being into the box a little bit, some people prefer it being flat. Depends on what kind of modifiers you use. If you're using something like a Gobo or something like with a lens system that's really close in, you need the light to be in much more flush like that. So overall, for usability, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Nothing groundbreaking, but altogether very well-rounded, easy-to-use, simple light. Next up is our light quality, and we just hit the charts for that. This is an objective measurement. Unfortunately, we did not do fantastically. First of all, we'll look at CRI, which at 2700K is 97.4. At 5600K, 100% output at 95.4. Bring that down to 50% though, goes to 97. And 94 again at 6500K. What really hurts me though are the R9 scores. We're maxing out at 87 at 5600K. Again, if we turn the output down a little bit, we get as high as 93. But we also don't like to see those things shift around with output. Speaking of which, we do actually have okay Kelvin stability. If we go from 10% to 100%, our Kelvin shifts by 122. The biggest problem we have here though is the calibration of the white balance. Not fantastic. When you set it to 5600K, you're only getting 5232. Set it to 6500, you're getting 5977. Now ironically, this light is only rated to go down to 2800K. That's what it shows on the screen. But when I set it to 2800K, I get 2736, which is actually the most accurate to my measurements system, because I measure at 2700, 5600, and 6500. And that one's only off by 36, even though it's not even supposed to be on, because generally this entire light tends too far toward the warm. And can I talk for 2 seconds about how the record voiceover function in Final Cut Pro is just absolute garbage? If I record it, my voice, directly into the computer in Final Cut Pro with the same mic as I'm using for everything else, it sounds like trash. But if I use GarageBand or my camera, suddenly everything sounds significantly better. What are you even doing, Apple? You make both of these programs. Okay, forget it. I'm sorry. Moving on, back to the topic at hand. And so our Kelvin accuracy is not fantastic. You need to set it cooler than you think on the screen. That gives us a score of 73.2%. Or 7.3 out of 10 for light quality. Value. This is where Litemons has always competed. The question is, we've gone from plastic to super rugged all-metal design. How are we going to do? Well, this one is only $300 US. Over 300 watt light, that is phenomenal. Previous version, the LE300Bi, $400. And the RGB version of the previous edition of this, the LE300R, $470. Compare that to this seemingly cheaper designed, constructed GVM SD300B AIO, it's a pre-production. That comes in at $400. And honestly, in most ways, this is the better light. However, the GVM Pro SD300B is $340. I don't understand why their Pro costs less than the all-in-one. That's the better buy, the better light. And then there's this, another 300 watt light, C-Ray C300X2, $350. Build quality, not fantastic on this. They really went to make this as light and small as possible, but it works, but it's kind of a unique use case. Then there's Zhiyun. I have a couple of lights that would compete with this. The Molus B300 for $430, much more direct competitor, and the Molus G300 for $600, if more of a competitor for this in the ultra compact form factor. And then in the more typical sort of thing, you have the Amaran 300C, but that's a RGB light. Aperture LS300X for $1,000. Godox's own no-LED M300Bi for $990. Getting way further than I need to get here. This is obviously a 10 out of 10. It is clearly ahead of everyone else in terms of value. I was getting a little bit worried that Godox was going to lose their edge in the value side of the market, but they really just knocked it out of the park on this one. This is just, it's the perfect balance of functionality and features and the build quality. I cannot understand how they are making a light this robust for that cheap with that much power. Now again, we've lost a little bit when it comes to the light quality, but you're getting a tremendous bang for your buck here. If you want to pick one up, there's going to be a link down in the description below. Help support this channel and feed my fat cats. But until next time, let's keep it bright, go take some photos.